What up YouTube, Barcode here. Today I'm bringing another Dungeon Champions video. This video is going to be from the beta client that the expert team has to test out new things from the updates that they bring us. This video is going to be about the 5 vs 5 changes. So 5 vs 5 changes, one big thing to note is when you queue up for a 5 vs 5 team, a queue, you now can roam around the menu freely. So you can do other things while you wait, which is a definite plus, because before waiting for the queue was just pretty annoying. So now you can do different things. You can go into missions, you can claim achievements, whatever. You can go into champions, upgrade some gear, and once you get the ready queue at the top where it says searching and it has the countdown timer, it'll have a ready button. So then you click the ready button, you can go straight there. So you can go into gear, you can level it up or whatever, upgrade it, and you can do other things, which is just amazing. It's a great update, and it's great to have. So yeah, 5 vs 5 changes. There are talents now in the game for upgrades, and each champion has different ones, and I'll try to showcase every single talent tree that other champions have. In the beta, it does search for longer periods of time just because there's less people playing in the beta. Queue time. Oh, there's Dank. Hi, Dank. Hey, what's your nature Tiki? Freaking OP nature Tiki in 5s. But yeah, so that's why the queue is taking a little bit longer. It's not necessarily going to take this long in game, and hopefully with these changes there's going to be more people playing the game for 5 vs 5, and I think it's a great mode, especially when you're free to play, out of energy, and if they revamp the rewards, I think that'll help bring in more players too. 5 vs 5 is definitely fun, and it's improving every single time they have an update. 5 vs 5 gets better and better. The game will not start unless everyone has loaded into the game. So no more waiting for 45 seconds to get into the game. Like I used to be able, like happened to me. I'd load in like halfway down the lane. That won't happen anymore, which is great. So for tank classes, here's the talent trees. You get to pick either or, one or two. You can't pick both, obviously. So the first stage for tanks is reduce all damage taken from non-champion units or life steals from non-champion enemies. I actually like the life steal early game because you can sustain a lot, and depending on what you're doing, if you're in the lane 1 vs 1, you can sustain pretty good. So yeah, I mean the sustain is pretty well. Early game you don't have to run back to the health pot pretty easily, so that's good. So let's go into different talents for tanks. So the first stage is the life steals or the damage reduction from non-champion units. Okay. Second one is reducing all damage taken from buildings or increases move speed. For tanks, this can be pretty good to take some damage from the towers while your team is taking is trying to take it down. So that can be pretty good. The third one is when under 50% health, you reduce all damage into you by 10%, which is pretty good for a tank. Or you can choose the enraged shred defense. So that can be huge depending on what your circumstances are and what you want to do, and how you want that to be. So good thing to note is when you're doing damage here, you are healing. If you're fighting an enemy, run away. If you're fighting an enemy and there's minions around, you can auto attack the enemy and heal up at the same time. So that's always cool. So let's see if I can get him up. Okay, so here's the sustain, 49 every tick, so that's pretty good, especially for sustain. So that's why I like the lifesteal to minions early game. Damage reduction from minions, I would never take that personally. So and the last one for tanks is when falling under 33% health, you gain a massive shield. So if you add that with the reduced damage from the 3rd tier, and then get that shield when under 33% from the 4th tier, you're going to be pretty hard to kill as a tank. Or you can check when an enemy champion is killed, you heal for a portion of max HP. Late game, I don't really see that as being necessary, but you never know. So let's see if I can kill him. No. Oh well, didn't. But that is the talent trees for a tank class. So let me go into a different class here and see what I can do. So let's go into a tank talents of the assassin class. So in the first one, it's an auto attack. Every 5th attack slows the enemy. So if you have an assassin that doesn't have like a dash or an engage, that might actually be good, especially on fast attack speed champions, to slow them down. Or you could do the lifesteal from non-champion enemies, which is good sustain, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the with just the 5th attack slow, just to chase people down. That's what I would typically do with an assassin class, because you're getting in, getting the kill, and getting out. So it's early lifesteal is not necessarily needed, just because you can get health pots, you can back out. I think a slow is much more beneficial. So in the 2nd tier, the auto attack inflicts mortal wounds and targets under 50% health. That is really good for teams that have healers like Diva, for example, or Fire MG, Water Valkyrie in case. Or you can choose increased movement speed. So increased movement speed with the 5th auto attack of a slow is really good to chase down people if you don't have an engage. Otherwise, you could do mortal wounds for targets under 50% health. The 3rd tier is engage shred defense, kind of like the tank class. So that can put out a lot of good DPS. If you're one-shotting people, you don't really need shred defense because you're going to have it, but you might need it later down the line, especially when the talents for tanks, for example, just have that damage mitigation. So shred defense could be pretty optimal. The other one is when under 50% health, you reduce yourself all damage received by 10%. At that point, with an assassin class, I don't feel like that's necessarily needed. If they're that low, they're going to be dead anyway in a short period of time. So and probably get one shot by other classes. So not really a talent that I would choose. I would probably pick the shred defense just for a later game. And the last tier is whenever an enemy champion is killed, you heal for a portion of your max HP, or when falling under 30%, you gain a massive shield. So I personally, depending on your team comp, if you have a healer or whatever the case may be, I would probably do the shield just for sustainability, just in case you don't get that kill. If you don't get a kill yourself, and that's not like an assist, that's literally a kill for yourself is when you gain that health. So I would go with the shield personally with the assassin, because it's just much more you're actually using something every single time. So let's get that damage done. Get that damage. Go, baby. Yeah, so yeah, that's the talents for an assassin class. I'll go ahead and go into a different class and show you what they got. Alright, so let's now go into the support class. The support class has a couple different talents as well. The first tier has an aura that heals non-champion allies. This could actually be pretty good if you match this with a tank that takes damage taken from the tower. Obviously, the tank would have to be taking hits from the tower and not the minions, but this will actually heal the non-champion allies. So a longer period of time diving a tower with the minions. When the minions die, then the tank will take damage, reduce damage from the tower. Could be a good tower comp to have. Or you can have auto attack. Every third attack reduces your skill cooldowns by 10%, which could be pretty cool. So you obviously can tell what that can already do. So let's see what the heal can do for your allies. So they're taking for 20. So it can be pretty beneficial, but for sustain anyway. Let's put them under the tower with the heal. The tower does, a lot more damage than the sustain actually is, but it does give maybe a second or two more of, being able to do damage to those towers. So just something to think about. So let me kill this bot real quick if I can. Boom. No. Alright, so let's go to the second tier. The second tier is auto attack. So like the other class had, inflicts mortal wounds to targets under 50% health. I would feel like that's actually better for a tank class than like an assassin. Don't really need the necessarily move speed on a tank, because you're just there to be the front line. Your teammates shouldn't be the front line anyway. You should be taking the majority of the damage. So I feel like the mortal wounds talent on a tank would actually be more beneficial than you would on an assassin. Or the aura for the third tier increases troop damage, or when under 50% health, reduces all damage received by 10%. I would probably go with the latter, the 50% health, reducing your damage, increasing troops. Since I did pick the healing minions part, maybe I would go with the aura, but I think ultimately I would always take that damage reduction on under 50%. If you add that with a tank, I mean, your tank and support should never die, especially if you have a healer as well. So just there's definitely different comps you can actually choose and strategize with your team. And the fourth tier is whenever an enemy champion is killed by you. This is by you. Refreshes all skill cooldowns. So that's huge. And there's actually some other champions that have that skill. Ink Ninja being one of them. So that is scary. Or when falling under 33%, you gain a vulnerability. For a tank class, I would actually take the invulnerability 100% of the time. Late game, you're not going to get sniped. So especially when you get under 30% health. So when you have high HP as a support class anyway, I would just take the invulnerability. But that refreshing all skills cooldown talent is huge, and is huge on the right character. So let's go into the next class, which will be the fighter class. Alright, now let's get into the fighter class. So the fighter class has a couple different talents that you can choose. First tier is kind of like others, reduced damage from non-champion units, or the lifesteal from champion enemies. I would probably go with the lifesteal for early sustain, which is going to lead to even more early ganks. So that's going to be kind of troublesome. The second tier is increased all healing received, or increased movement speed. I guess that would depend on your team comp. But I would probably go for a fighter class. I'd probably go with increased move speed, because a lot of fighters, not all of them, but some don't have like an engage or something like that. So if you had trouble chasing down somebody on your favorite fighter class previously, increased move speed would probably be beneficial to you. The third tier is enraged shed defense. If you are coordinating with a 5-for-5 team and it's all your guildies and you're on Discord, you definitely don't want to go 2 people with shred defense, so then you can kind of determine who takes the shred defense or not. For a fighter class, I would probably go with the shred defense on the fighter class than the other. But it really just depends on what your team wants to do. The other choice is when under 50% health, you reduce all damage by 10%. So that could be good for a tanky fighter class, that has more HP than an assassin, kind of like Monkey King. But it just really depends. Now, Monkey King already has his own raised defense. He has lower defense, so putting shred defense on a Monkey King that already has lower defense, they're gonna have hardly any defense at all left if you take that skill. So Monkey King having shred defense is pretty good. When the last tier is when an enemy champion is killed, you heal for a portion, or your auto attacks do bonus damage based on the target max HP. For a skill-based fighter like Monkey King, I would probably take the sustain. However, it just really depends, you know, what the other team. If there's a bunch of high HP champions on the other side, I would maybe go with that. Oh my goodness, my skills die. But yeah, it really just depends on what you want to do. And just a note, once you're resurrecting and dead, you can't click on talents to check and choose. So just a good thought process on that. But yeah, auto attack, it really just depends on the team comp. So every game might not be different. You might take the same talents every game, but on really competitive 5 vs 5 matches, when it's a big game, this can definitely be an outcome to a game, choosing which one you want to choose. So let's get into the next champion of talents, and we'll go into Mage next. Alright, so let's go into the Mage talents. A little different here as well. Auto attacks. Every 5th auto attack is a slow or a lifesteal from the normal champions. You know, with a lot of mages, they don't have engage. I would probably take a slow, but it just depends on what your role is going to be. If you're, you know, just blocking off a lave, lifesteal might actually be beneficial too. But again, these auto attacks could have slowed her down, but it's every 5th auto attack, so it might not necessarily would have been the best choice. But sustain is always good early game, so you don't die early and get that you know, feed. Obviously, you don't want to feed. So and obviously, if you take some damage from the tower on that lifesteal, you will be able to. Let's see if I can stun. Pull him in. Alright. Did I take the lifesteal? I did take the lifesteal. Okay, I was gonna say. So I wasn't taking. Why am I not lifestealing? That's interesting. Did I find something that needs to be fixed? Or is it. Huh. Boom. Stun. Boom, 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 boom. Oh yeah, the kill. All right. So I'll have to test that more. But it seems like the lifesteal from non-champion enemies might not just be auto attacks, because that was kind of confusing why I was hitting them and not healing right there. But I am healing if I get. I'm kind of confused, but. Oh, I'm stunned, and for days, this will be good for movement speed, probably. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so let's go. I'll have to test that more. So let's go into the second talent, which is increased all second tier anyway. Increased all healing received, or increased movement speed. I would definitely go movement speed on a mage here, in case you need to run out. Increasing all healing received. You're going to be doing burst damage. You just want the big hits and to move away when you can. So I would definitely take the increased move speed. In Rage, increased bonus damage on the 3rd tier, which is pretty amazing for a mage and skill-based champion. Or when under 50% health, reduce all health damage done. I would definitely go. Whoa, I can't select it. Boom. All right. I would definitely go with the increased bonus damage, so you can get those one-shot kills. There's been many times as a mage, especially when you don't have like a type of engage, that you miss a character, miss a kill because you didn't do enough damage. So here's the increased movement speed. Oh, I'm dead. And you see me running fast to the graveyard. Anyway, so obviously, I'm gonna point out some things to game off about the minion healing, because I don't think that's correct on how that is. So hopefully I can get that fixed before live as well. So let's go into the 4th tier. So whenever an enemy champion is killed, it refreshes all cooldowns. On a mage, this is huge. I mean, you can do your ultimate. If that ultimate kills somebody, your ultimate is right back up again. This could be OP skill. However, there's a ton of damage mitigation nowadays with these new talents on tank and support classes, and even other classes as well. So it might not be too huge, but it just really depends on what the other team puts in its talents as well. But if you get a kill, if you start off with the 1 and the 2nd skill and then the ultimate, all your cooldowns refresh. So I've seen it done, and I've done it before on other characters, and it's huge. The other choice is when falling under 30% health, removes all debuffs, gains immunity, and haste. I don't necessarily see myself ever taking in the 3rd or 4th tier the right side. I always see the increased bonus damage being taken and the refreshing all cooldowns. It's definitely a must. So I will go into the last class next that I want to showcase the talents of, and that's the Marksman. Alright, so let's go into the Marksman class for the talents. They're a little different as well. First one is every 5th attack has a slow, which obviously we all know what that is. And then the second one is reduce all damage taken from non-champion units. I would definitely just probably go with the first one with the slow. Not really needed for non-champion units. The second tier is increase all healing received. We've seen that before. And increase move speed. I would probably go with the move speed for a marksman. And then also for the 3rd tier, it's enraged increased critical damage, which is huge on marksmans. And then also for the auto attack, every 5th attack triggers chain lightning. So this could be good depending on the marksman that you use. Like for for Nature Dino, for instance, he has a lot of single single target attacks. That auto attack, that every 5th attack triggers chain lightning, that could be pretty good depending on how much damage it actually does. But also the enrage and increased critical damage, I think I'd probably take that most often. It just depends on the champion that you choose for marksman. The last tier is when under 33% health, you gain invulnerability, or when an enemy champion is killed, heals for a portion of max HP. For a damage dealer, I probably, you could do the heal, but I'd probably go with the invulnerability just so you don't die. Just depends on how often, how long that invulnerability stack lasts. So I won't get into it too long. I haven't really tested that long on a marksman anyway. But yeah, those are the talent cases that you can choose and kind of and see where you want to go with that. And I just wanted to put this out there so you can kind of be prepared and look into what you might want to use eventually. Oh, am I gonna get sniped? I might. Anyway, I don't really care. I'm just showcasing this if I die. So, but that's all the time I have for 5 vs 5 champs and the balancing. There's a lot of cool voice commands as well, like when towers are getting hit. It's just, a lot of small improvements to 5 vs 5 that make the game better, and I like that, and I think there's just more things to come and more improvements that it can make, and I feel like the mode is just getting better and better. So I will check you guys in the next video. Peace.